There's too much stupid this week. I don't know if I want to go. Sharks shut out Winnipeg. They beat Vegas in OT with Bordeleau back on the team. Gregor gets a hat trick in the desert. Let's see who we can piss off this week. Play it. Oh, I forgot to change the screen this week. That just goes to show you how much I have not been paying attention. I am so sorry. What up, everybody?
We're just trying to live back in the moment of when the Sharks were terrible, since they're apparently good now, right?
It feels like it was yesterday or last week, perhaps. There we go. So, welcome back. Unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, commercial-free Sharks podcast. The Pucknologists here on Teal Town, USA. Keep us commercial-free if you want by using the Super Chat option during the live shows. Better yet, use Venmo. Find us at Teal Town, USA. Your donations will make sure that we do not have to suddenly stop talking about hockey so we can crowbar in a 60-second ad read for some random gambling site or protein bars or a body hair shaver or something along those lines. I hope you guys appreciate us not having to do that as much as we appreciate not having to do that. But if you're new to the cast, hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave your take in the comments section of the video if you're not able to join us live. And if you're on an audio-only podcast app, hit subscribe there. And because we are big fans of giving people a choice, remember, you can watch us here on YouTube, but we also have Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook all going simultaneously. Choose wisely.
If you're watching on Facebook, your comment will not be displayed.
Oh, man, it could be. Oh, Jerkman. Sharks won 3 this week. I feel like that made Hose mad.
A little bit. I don't know, the resistance to basic mathematics this week was staggering, right? I mean, well, I don't even know that it's really worth getting into because we did it last week, but like the math says that this was coming, right? Like we saw this happening,
So we've been saying it for the last 9-game win streak. It's like, dude, the sun shines on a dog's ass from time to time.
Yeah, math is the math always wins, right? There's never been an 0-82 team for a reason.
Hey now, Kevin Way on here. I do feel some humorous ads could be seamlessly interested. If you know of a humorous company that wants to sponsor us, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, is that like an ad for a goofy product, or is that like we are goofy while reading about a completely normal product?
Two things can be true.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't know that we've given this much thought, but like, what if this podcast is like the Super Bowl for some people, where it's like, yeah, touchdown, but show me the Doritos commercial, Could be.
Yeah, I dig it. Sharks played 3 this week, picking up 6 of 6 points somehow, some way.
Elite.
Oh, man.
I can see it now in mid-July. We didn't get Connor Bedard because Noah fucking Gregor scored a hat trick. I can see it now. Single-handedly his fault.
Son of a bitch had 4 goals in 1 week, that bastard. So here we are. The Sharks have climbed out of the cellar a little bit. Now 8th in the conference, and with a 3-point lead ahead of Anaheim and 5-point lead ahead of Chicago. I mean, In fact, I was going to say I haven't even looked at how far they are ahead of Columbus. Oh no, they're just 3 points ahead of. All right, well, see what happens.
It's still within grasp,
Yeah, but
just unless this rip continues, right? They're 7 points back of Montreal. I don't see them finishing worse than 4th at this point, or I guess 29th if you look at it from the winning point of view. Mm-hmm. Which is, again, I know Bedard is the shiny toy, but 29th in a year with this deep of a draft is not the worst place to end up.
True that. The Sharks won 3 straight for the second time this season.
Hell yeah.
Impressive. Well,
So you're saying there's a chance.
Well, yeah, it would have been a great week had they not been eliminated 3 weeks ago. But we'll also touch on some Shark signings and moves this week, projections for next season. NHL is they're looking to cause more controversy. And speaking of controversy, a little brouhaha is brewing down in Tempe and Phoenix. Let's start with Winnipeg. Thrun got he signed the deal, but obviously he didn't play until Thursday. But you got VL in for Barabanov. You got Kaut and Peterson getting a look on the top line with Hurdle. Yeah, it's just kind of
seemed to work out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, everything was just like, fuck it, man. Let's just try everything. And then you end up with a shutout. So, hell yeah. And things you love to see, Gregor bearing a Peterson feed just after a power play expires, giving the Sharks a 1-0 lead. And you're kind of going, what was that, Noah Gregor? Hey, now. LeBanc finds his way on the scoreboard. Like when both Gregor and LeBanc score in the same game, you have to think. We have to ask Darren Stevens, Shark Stats, and go, has there ever been a game that Gregor and LeBanc scored in that the Sharks actually lost? Because I can't think of one. I don't know. I can't see it ever happening. If those two guys are scoring, it's going to be a good night.
Yeah, well, I just think, I mean, like you said, you said maybe you need to talk to Darren Stevens. I think we need to go higher. I think we need to talk to Neil deGrasse Tyson and be like, hey, is there anything going on with the moon phases coming up that we need to know about? Because
is there a disturbance in the force?
Yeah, there's a little bit of something happening. No, but you mentioned Peterson and Kaut getting a look up there with Hurdle, and that line got a goal, and we've talked about it, right, these last couple of weeks where, we're post trade deadline, the Sharks are officially eliminated. So the whatever you want to call it, the false sense of hope is officially out the window. And you can, if you're David Quinn, you can just goof around and see what you have and see what's gonna do what, right?
Yeah, play with the new toys. I mean, Gregor, obviously, good night. Reimer, have a game. There's a lot of people, a lot of speculation out there in the Twitter sphere and the internets, wondering if Reimer would hear some boos after his first game starting at SAP after declining to wear the Pride jersey. Evidently, none of that came along, but Chief had a game. Threw up a shutout. He had, 30-some-odd saves?
41.
Oh, Jesus. So there you go. But, of course, the things you hate to see is gaining 2 points when the Jackets and the Hawks lost earlier. After this game, I remember writing down, I'm like, is this going to be the game that we point back to as a missed chance? Like, had they had lost this, but then, nope, shut that right up by winning the next 2. But some people saying this was not as much of the Sharks winning as it was the Jets losing. And the first person at the top of that chain was Rick Bowness, who totally called out the team afterward. Did you see those quotes?
Yeah, I did, and that idea,
what did he say? Some along like some players, if they think they're like carrying the load, they aren't.
Yeah, basically, like if some of our guys think that they're giving it all, they're sorely mistaken. Because and I agree with that person. Like we've talked about it, right? The math always wins at some point. Even when you're the worst team ever, you're going to get a win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Winnipeg Jets, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Winnipeg was kind of doing the tango with Dallas for leading the Central Division. Mm-hmm. And all of the sudden, right, Minnesota's heated up, Colorado's heated up, and now you're in a situation where you're only 2 points I'm sorry, 4 points ahead of Calgary, 5 points ahead of Nashville, who, threw everybody overboard at the deadline. Like, you're kind of in a precarious position all of a sudden. And I know we've both talked about this, like that this team Winnipeg Jets have got some hitters on there, and it does, make you wonder, like, things already are looking pretty fragile there, and then you completely fall apart against the Sharks. It's like, even if you make the playoffs, like, what more do you have to show,
Ryan saying the Jets blew out the Devils 6-1 today, didn't it? But didn't the Devils? Was it last night? Night before? All I know is I saw Timo Meyer trending on Twitter because he had a gorgeous wraparound for New Jersey.
Yeah,
man, that was a good looking one. Oh man, Richard saying no one was there to boo Reimer.
Accurate.
They did say attendance for this was 10,387. Again, tickets distributed, not actually used, but seemed like it was a decent night. But look, the Sharks go perfect on the penalty kill 3 for 3, and actually score a rare power play goal. Gotta like to see that. And then Kaut making it 3-0. Just Hurdle, the amount of patience he showed, because there's a lot of people that have been on Hurdle. I've been one of them this season, where it's like, dude, make a decision or whatever. And this was one of those times where I'm like, fuck you, holding on for. Oh, okay, never mind. That was nice. So
yeah, but had that shot not gone in, it would have been.
Oh, then I've
would have been like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
fucking fire it.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's been a lot of dialogue on Hurdle this year, and definitely a lot of it has come from us, right? But
has it?
I a little bit, but I think lately, I think he's really kind of turned a corner. Not to say that he's playing the way that he did last year, right, or even in 2018-19, but I thought he's really kind of righted the ship a little bit. I mean, he's up to 60 points. Again, for I believe that's the fourth time in his career. He's only, I know there's been, like I said, there's been a lot of dialogue, but he's only 4 points away from what he did last year, and there's still a handful of games left here. What do we got? What is there? 7 games left?
6.
Yeah, he could just as easily match or even eclipse what he did last year, and that was in 82 games last year. He's not going to hit that this year because of the suspension. So
yeah. Well, and offense has kind of tailed off since the deadline and Meyer being gone. So
right, but you know what? I think that's a good sign too. Your best player gets shipped out. Who better to step up than your second best player, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, Flames and Ducks tied 4-4. 13 minutes left in the third. Hey now.
Flames need points, man.
Oh, dude. They are holy crap. And if memory serves, I think if the Kings beat the Canucks tonight, and they're currently up 2-1 with 8.5 left in the third, I believe that sends the Kings to the playoffs.
Yeah, this weekend had like
a lot of implications, man.
Yeah, 5 teams within clinching scenarios.
It is that time of year, jerk.
And you know what? They don't even, the Kings don't even need to win, technically. They just need to get to overtime.
Oh, there you go.
So,
hey, speaking of overtime, what a fucking segue. The Sharks won versus Vegas in overtime yet again. This is, the second time I can remember them winning in overtime because Bordeleau was in the lineup, I suppose. I don't know. VGK, they actually clinched their playoff berth before the puck even dropped because the Predators had lost earlier. This one, you saw Benning go out with the lower body. Barabana, Barbie, and Svechnikov and Johnson. If those guys see ice between now and the end of the season, it's stupid.
Yeah, what's the, what do you get? You're going to come back, right? You're going to come back to do what?
Yeah. This was Thrun's debut. Agazino getting sent down to make room, and of course, but Bordeleau called up. So let me start with this. Did you like yourself some Thrun there?
Yeah,
was the Thrun fun?
Yes, very fun. I there was a lot of, a lot of it from me, right? There was a lot of, ooh, okay, we got this guy signed. Let's see what he can do. The name Matt Carl 2.0 has been thrown out quite a bit, right? But those are just sort of like,
I felt like you were driving that ship and you gained some passengers.
yeah, I mean, what better way to make your debut, right, than to come in, you get 2 assists, and I thought outside of the offense, I thought he looked really good. He was one of those guys where you know, he's not Eric Carlson. He's not like razzle dazzle around the ice kind of thing, but he got the 2 assists. Like I said, he played very well defensively. Had good urgency to his game, and I mean, shit, dude, he certainly got Mario Ferraro some flowers for this game. So
Dude, I mean, both Thrun and Ferraro having a night. I'm like, hey, Ferraro, here's that offense you had ordered at last October.
right. I know we're gonna have a longer form conversation about it later on, but like between everything that's transpired the last week and a half, like this Sharks blue line is going to be very interesting going into next year.
Oh, dude, like it's gonna be like I don't know, trying to bet in a pool. Like
right,
who
like,
the hell is going to be on that blue line?
Well, and I think we were talking about it last week, right? Where there's a legit possibility that Carlson is the only guy who is still on the team next year with how many defensemen have come in.
And even that, I mean, we have a bet on that. So
right.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, a Ferraro slapper going. It looked like it might have went off Zetterlund, but I guess after review they said nope, that was all Ferraro. But I mean, the thing about this game, you look at the score, it's like 4-3 in overtime. You're like, oh man, that must have been a great game, dude. I was gonna fall asleep from the lack of shots on goal. Like it was, if memory serves, through 35 minutes, neither team had double digits. It was like 9-8.
Yeah, the shots were very close for a long time, and the game, I mean, half the goals were in the first period, but I feel like the game really opened up until, really the second half of the game. That's kind of when it felt like teams were starting to trade chances a little bit.
Yeah. But, ends from Couture picking a pass. He said it post game that he could see that Chief was looking at Eichel the whole way, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to take that thing, and buried it. And, that's Couture's specialty. So I said this last week, dude. I was not all that impressed with Vegas on Thursday night. And last week I said I would be surprised if they got out of the second round. I got to tell you right now, I might be surprised if they get out of the first round. And it's not that they don't have enough firepower up front. I mean, and I wouldn't necessarily call their blue line sus, but White Cloud has his moments. He reminds me of Carlson a little bit in that, sometimes you look at him and you go, man, what a great play. And then other times you're going, what the hell are you doing?
I just feel like,
and how many goalies do they have?
I mean, and it's funny in these, these goalie, the tallying of the goalies, right? They don't even, like, Robin Leonard's not even counted, who's on LTIR for the whole year, right? But if you don't count him, Quick, Hill, Thompson, Brossoit, Patera, like they're running through the batting order here.
Dude, the bullpen is pretty full.
Yeah, I just think, like, with Vegas, years past, the last maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years, they've had that wow factor to them, right? Where they come at you at waves, and it's like, oh shit, this is their fourth line, but like it's still really impressive and gonna, blow you up here. Whereas I kind of feel like a product of it is losing the players they've lost over the last 2 years, but just the way they play, like, it's still effective, obviously. I mean, they're going to the playoffs. They have a chance to win the division, but I just don't really feel like they play with that wow factor as much as it's just kind of like, kind of put your head down and sort of dig in and grind it out, right?
I just don't see anybody like. It seemed 2-3 years ago, it's like, okay, anybody, please don't let us have to face Vegas.
Right.
And now it's just kind of like, yeah, who cares?
I feel like the way Vegas plays, that sort of like kind of grind you out sort of way, like I think that benefits them if they can get out of the first round. But like if they can't get out of the first round, then I'm kind of with you where a team that really, like I said, a really explosive team, it's going to end up being, with where assuming they win the division, which is not guaranteed. I mean,
not by any stretch, dude.
LA, who's in third, could easily leapfrog.
Well, dude, I feel like
Edmonton,
I feel like is gunning for the division.
Right. Well, that's the thing, dude. You look at the Pacific Division, Vegas 101, Edmonton 99, LA 98. Like it's not locked up by any stretch.
It's would you say it is jump ball?
Absolutely. And I'm looking at this, like I said, if Vegas can find a way to the third round, I think that style of play really benefits them. But if they have to play in the first round, and who knows how the matchups are going to shake out, right? But if they have to play Colorado or Edmonton or even the Kraken, like I don't know. Those teams play really explosively,
I was going to say that's the thing, dude. If whoever knocks them down a peg, whether it's Edmonton or LA, and like I said, I think it'll be Edmonton. I feel like, dude, 4-game heater. They're 9-0-1 over their last 10. I mean, they're gunning. And let's be honest, they also play the Sharks.
Twice.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah, it's Colorado, Edmonton, and then Winnipeg, Calgary, and Edmonton. Yeah, so they get the Sharks twice. Hello. So they get the Sharks twice. Whoo, dude. And then Vegas would then have to play, because I'm thinking like Vegas, okay, I would say, okay, they'll get out of the first round if they finish top in the West and they, have to play whoever finishes second wild card. Like, okay, you probably got a good shot at that, whether it's Seattle, right, Winnipeg, Calgary, whoever. But if they get bumped down and they got to do a 7-game grind against LA, woo-hoo, good luck.
Or even Edmonton. Edmonton's going to blow them up, I think.
Yes.
They have to play Edmonton.
Yeah.
And you know what? Here's the other thing.
Well, that would be second round, right?
I mean, if LA can leapfrog both of them, then it would be first round.
Yeah, I don't know that I see that happening.
Dude, 3 points out with 3 points out with 6 games left. Dude,
maybe.
if you can get a win
6
in an overtime. Yeah.
Oh, LA no, you're right. Yeah, 6 games. Edmonton, has 5. Okay,
yeah, this last week and a half here is going to be it's going to be something, dude. And you look at the top of the Western Conference right now. Minnesota 6-2-2, Colorado 8-2-0, Dallas 5-4-1, Vegas 7-2-1, Edmonton 9-0-1, LA 6-2-2. The top of the Western Conference is buzzing right now. Like the current formation that these top 6 teams are in, like it could be different, completely different a week from now.
Yeah. So like I said, man, I just and I'm not sitting here trying to, yank my own crank, but I don't know that Vegas is going to get that far, but
no, I don't see them. Like I said, a team that's really explosive offensively, Edmonton, Colorado, even Minnesota, the way they've been playing lately, I don't see Vegas faring well in that series. If it's a Winnipeg or a Calgary or a Seattle Kraken where you can kind of grind them down a little bit, that's where I think Vegas is going to fare better.
Dude, when Marchessault can't even put up a point against San Jose, something's off.
Right, when he historically does like only.
Oh,
that,
dude,
right?
Remember a couple. It was the bubble hockey year, right? When like Phil Kessel had like 12 points in 8 games against San Jose, or 13 points, something like that. It was something ridiculous. It was the January through April bubble hockey, right?
The hub one, yeah.
Yeah.
When he had I think he had 20 goals that year, and like 8 of them or 10 of them were against the Sharks.
It's the most silly thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The post-game comment for San Jose versus Vegas was great from Quinn. When asked about his plan for Thrun for the rest of the season, he said, "My plan is to play the crap out of him until he can't tie his skates until I'm told differently. That's the plan." Hell yeah.
I was going to say there are worse plans.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why that's a good plan is because Henry Thrun uh, is 21 years old.
Yeah.
If
Kid's
you
got
apply
energy.
that, right? Well, but not even that, but just this is a guy like, if everything goes the way it's supposed to, Thrun will theoretically be in San Jose for a majority of his career, right? If you take this quote of "I'm going to play the crap out of him," you apply that to like Vlasic, Šimik, Jacob McDonald. It's a different question. It's what's going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a player that's so young and has already, and granted, it's he's played what, 2 games, and so, but I don't think we need to get too crazy here, but you have a young player who's impressed so early in his NHL career. You
And
put
doesn't look
everything you've
nervous
got
at
on
all.
no, and again, whatever your thoughts on the Sharks' future is, next year, 2 years from now, like Ian Reed always says that rebuilding is great when you get all these picks and prospects, but at a certain point you have to determine when the rebuild is over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the Sharks think that's next year, maybe they think it's in 2 years, but regardless, a player like Thrun, you play him as much as you can if he's going to give you what he gave in the 2 games he's played so far.
Well, it makes you wonder how the blue line will shake out over the final 6. I mean, obviously Carlson going for 100 at 95 right now, and Vlasic's been paired with them last couple of games. You got Ferraro, McDonald, Benning out with the LBI, so Šimik and Thrun, and there's a part of me that almost wants to go, we can't find him somebody better than Šimik to pair with?
I mean, I believe that his first game, I think I don't know if he was with Šimik or he was with Ferraro. He might have been with both of them at various points, but
he started off with Šimik, but they even talked about on the broadcast that it's like, hey, check out Quinn over here shaking shit up.
Yeah, I just, I think if this were 5 years ago where if this were 5 years ago where the Sharks, got their hands on an intriguing prospect while still trying to compete for the Stanley Cup, he would be the 7th defenseman in the last couple games of the season when the Sharks are trying to do load management, right? But the Sharks, this is a rebuild, and so you get your hands on a player like this, he's gonna play like he should be playing. He should be second on the based on the 7 defensemen currently on the Sharks roster, Thrun should be second in ice time, if you ask me. Like,
fuck yeah.
See what you got. You have this horse. See what it can do.
Throw him in the deep end. Let's see. Ricky's saying, I can tell you one thing. We don't re-sign Nudavara. My question to that is, who the hell is Nudavara?
Yeah, I did. I mean,
have I seen him this year? No.
I mean, he's obviously like he's hurt, and you don't want to make light of him being hurt, but I do wonder, like, was he even issued a jersey? Like,
dude, I know, like, that might be one of the rarest finds you'll ever see, a new Navarro jersey. I mean, Chief signed a 1-year deal, right?
Yep.
1 year, foot never touches the ice. Unbelievable. I don't even know what the fucking guy looks like.
It's just really it's really unfortunate, because I do think, like, he's dealt with a lot of injuries over the last 2 or 3 years. I think pre-injury he was definitely a really intriguing young defenseman, right? But now it's to the point where as soon as he gets healthy, he's hurt again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you feel bad for the guy, obviously, but at the same time, you can't wait around for somebody who may never show up.
Yeah. Well, and like we were saying earlier about Janssen, Svechnikov, even Barabanov. We you've said it, I don't know how many times, like, can we say that the small sample size is over?
There's still some people out there who aren't sure.
Right. So Barabanov, Svechnikov, Johnson, or Janssen, pick your poison.
I think it's Johnson.
Whatever. And then Nudavara's not really in that conversation, but Lindblom, getting injured. It's just kind of like, hey, you know what? Sit them all. There's no reason to bring anybody back.
Yeah.
The CUDA no, it's over. So just let's see what you got in the pipeline. Let's have some fun with this. Let's entertain the fans. Speaking of entertaining, the game against Vegas that we've been talking about was Y2K night. I got to be honest, I had no idea what the fuck that meant. But
did you go?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to, but I had some other stuff I needed to take care of. But from what I understand, a fabulous time was had by all.
Yeah.
A lot of 2000 era music played, and they had video games, and evidently it was a good night. 15,232 was the announced attendance. Looked like it was a good night. Based on Shalena's Twitter, she said it was kind of fun with the music and everything. So maybe they turn that into something a little more regular. I don't know. You see that with like the Giants. We have baseball here, believe it or not. The San Francisco Giants, they'll do that thing where they're like throwback to something, and they make it all about that. Maybe the Sharks take a page out of that book and try something like that. Could be fun.
I just and this isn't I think you're gonna say, oh, yeah, I think you're gonna say, yeah, welcome to the club. But like this was interesting for me because it's like, this is kind of the first time in my life where a period in time that I lived through and actively remember was a theme night, right? Like when you all these so many teams have done 80s night over the years, and you're like, yep, been there, done that, got the shirt, right? But I'm like, they're like 2000s night, and I'm like, oh man, like I grew up in the 2000s, like I remember.
I'm old.
Even like they've been doing the Sharks, they've been doing that thing. Like they'll do like the it kind of reminds me of like the jaywalking a little bit, like from Jay Leno, right?
Who's Jay Leno?
where it's like, the players are going on the ice for practice, and there's like a question that they're asked, right? And there were a couple of guys who were like, oh, like what's aim? And I'm like, no. Like,
oh yeah, AOL Instant Messenger. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Man.
Dude, well, there was a video that went around that I don't know if it went viral, but it certainly like circulated through a lot of people that I'm friends with. It was this video of this not that race has anything to do with it. I'm just telling you the whole story. I'm giving you the full context. There was this white chick in a car doing a TikTok, something about, wouldn't it be really cool if there was like a phone at the house that like everybody used? And all of a sudden it cuts to this black guy, and he's just like, he goes, oh, how old am I? How old have I? What? She's explaining a house phone, a landline. How old have I gotten? Dude, his reaction was the funniest goddamn thing I've seen in the last month. Oh, and that's when I saw the Y2K thing, I was just like, so it was like the screen, like how funny would this be? Like halfway through the second period, all the LED screens just for like 10 seconds go like Windows blue screen. Dude.
Well, I saw that they had come up with like a UI for the on the the center hung scoreboard to simulate what that interface looked like during the 2000s. That gray kind of bar at the bottom, the real boring look to it.
Yep.
I don't know. I was hoping that they would have, that thing is so massive, and it's basically a whole screen. I wish that they would have done, the first kind of center hung scoreboard, the one where it's like, it was more of like I guess it would have been like like a hexagon or an octagon, whatever shape it was, and it had like the sponsors on it, that would have been a cool shout.
Yeah. Dude, and dude, you do a giveaway. It's you make up a screensaver and put it on disc and give that away.
Yeah, I mean, even the wraparound, that kind of like the wraparound screen between the two sections. You remember, you were there. Like at one point in time, it was the digital screens, and then every couple of sections, it was like a real sign. like a legit like sign that somebody,
it would say
somebody
like
manufactured
KSJO or Orchard Supply or something like that.
And I think it would have been cool to even simulate something like that. Really steer into it.
Yeah, the one thing they won't ever do is, hey, we're gonna have beer at 2,000 prices. Back when you
They
could
would
get a beer
never.
for like $6.
Yeah, they would never.
Yeah.
You know what would be a great throwback to the 2000s?
Say it.
They bring back that 2000s Philly cheesesteak that Tank was
Oh,
offering.
hell yeah. Dude, that was such the go-to. Oh man. All right. Let's move on. Wow. I thought this was going to be a really short show and we're already like running behind. The Sharks head down to the desert to face the Dogs. A 7-2 win. Dude, I'll tell you, like, a third goal in, I was like, fuck, is Kakinen going to score tonight? Because it was a night of firsts. Gushin gets a debut. Chris Cuolo gets his first NHL goal ever. Moser from Arizona gets his Gregor with a hat trick, and you're like, what the hell is going on here?
Peterson with his first goal as a Shark.
Yeah. It was just so silly.
It's weird.
Yeah, dude. I had no idea what the hell was going on. Kakinen starts.
You know what I was thinking about when I was watching this game?
What?
You see that clip? That clip from Howard Stern. It's Hillary Clinton, and she was like, "Well, that was some weird shit." Like that was me watching this game. I'm like, what happened here?
Dude. And the thing is that Arizona for this season. You want to make fun of Bad Haircut Arena? I'm there with you. I'm down. They have a pretty good record there. They're like 13-5 or something like that. Now, to be fair, they had actually lost the night before to Dallas, so they, it was their second game of back-to-backs. But I did not expect that game. And
by all accounts, it doesn't seat a lot of people, but they've been able to get a good chunk of people in there. The vibes are pretty immaculate, from what I understand.
Oh, I should also just point out the Kings did win, so they have earned the X next to their name, and Calgary is now up 5-4 with a minute and a half in the third.
Man, they needed that.
They need that in a big way.
You know
who really needed that? Daryl Sutter.
No kidding.
So we'll get back to that in a minute. But, I mean, dude, Gushin gets his debut. Sturm with a feed to Gregor makes it 1-0. And I'm like, oh, damn. I'm sitting there going, I know Jerk is just rubbing one out right now. He's like, my man, right? And then you get Peterson on the power play, makes it 2-0. And I'm like going, fuck, are we for real? And I'm like, are they going to win 3 in a row? And then Chris Cuolo off a steal in the neutral zone, which was chef's kiss. Dude, gets his first NHL goal. It's 3-0. I'm going, what in the hell is happening right now? But then Moser, off some great puck movement, makes it 3-1. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Now it's going to, everything's going to switch. And then Gushin, fucking 4-1 top shelf goal. And I went, all right, all bets are off. I don't even know what's happening anymore. But Gregor 5-1. Couture on the power play 6-1. Gregor with the hat trick 7-1. And then Kellerman, who I believe got his first NHL goal.
Yep.
For Arizona, 7-2. So, I mean, things you love to see in this one, of course, just all these firsts. I mean, the new guys coming in and making a difference. And then what I haven't even mentioned, there's a lot of people that kind of like, I don't know, man, Erik Karlsson's kind of stalled out at 90 points. I don't think he's going to. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, here's some 4 assists for your ass. Like, excuse me while I just sprinkle these 4 assists like Salt Bay on your ass. Damn, dude. And then and the best part, the 3 stars. Gregor, of course, hat trick.
Yep.
Karlsson, 4 assists.
Yep.
And then Kakinen, I'm like, really? Feel like we could have went off board there, but sure.
I mean, not
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 935 save percentage.
I mean, I guess they give him the 3rd star because it's like, when was the last time he did that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, hero in 0 for the week.
Man.
I mean, dude, I'm just going to, I'm sorry I got to steal your thunder.
Take it.
Dude, Gregor.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 points. I'm sorry, 4 goals this week. And you're like,
7 points in his last 5 games.
yeah, like, are you kidding? I mean, it's on the scroll right now. 4 goals, 3 assists. Are you kidding me? So, like, here's the Gregor that we've been talking about for the last 2 years. God damn it! Where has this guy been? Like, I am so hoping that this last 2 weeks, this last stretch of 5-6 games, has just boosted his confidence and been like, oh fuck, I actually am allowed to put the puck in the net. This is amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, you know,
holy crap, dude. No clanks over the last 5 games.
No, I mean, he was, you know, like if things had gone for him the way they'd been going this season, like he was going to have to get ready and learn German because that was the only place that was going to sign him. You know
absolutely.
What I mean? And I don't know, you know, this last
would have had a subscription to Rosetta Stone, dude.
Right. You know, these last 5 games, I don't know if that all of a sudden increases the likelihood of him re-signing with the Sharks or even getting an NHL contract. But I think from his perspective, it certainly doesn't hurt, you know, to say, hey, you know, I've been getting a chance here the last 2 weeks and I've kind of cashed in on it.
Dude, puck guy coming in hot, dude. Gregor, first 46 games, 4 goals, 3 assists. Last 6 games, 4 goals, 3 assists.
Yeah, there you go. And I bet, you know, we can dig into the numbers here.
The pressure is off.
Right. Well, and you dig into the numbers, right? Like,
dig it.
There's been a noticeable increase in his ice time those last, 5 or 6 games.
How's LeBanc doing? Who's your hero for the week?
You know,
say it.
I was gonna go with Noah Gregor as well, just
of course
because for obvious reasons.
Sexy pick.
Yeah, but I think Jacob Peterson. You know, I think, I mean,
well, and he was a guy that you were looking at as soon as the deal was made.
Yeah, I was super excited to get him, obviously, and then he comes in and he's played really well. You know, he got called up. That would have been for the game against Vancouver a couple weeks ago, last week, whenever it was.
Did someone say?
Yeah. And 4 points in his last 5 in his 5 games playing in the NHL with the Sharks. So again, it's a small sample size, but he's made an immediate impact, and especially this week, he had a point in every game this week, and so he's been consistent. You know, and I don't know if he's like, that pace of scoring, point a game kind of thing. I would be surprised if that's sustainable, right? But this is a good little player, and like I'm, was very excited that the Sharks were able to get their hands on him when they did, and so far, things appear to be trending in the right direction for him. And I know there was a lot of concern about, he's going to have to go back on waivers, but I don't see it being an issue. I see him being in the NHL next year.
It's official. Flames have beaten the Ducks, so they pulled the 2 points.
There you go.
Would have been nice if that went to OT, but that's fine. Ricky coming in saying, don't praise Gregor too much. 2 of those went in off defensemen. Hey,
so
Ricky,
they still win in.
Dude, they don't ask how. They just ask how many.
Yeah, I mean, you still have to have the skill, right?
Yeah, it was if I if I got the cue ball and I'm lined up on a shot and I happen to bank that off 2 other balls and it goes in, then I meant to do that.
Yeah. I mean, when he's meeting with the GM, to whichever GM, to sign his new contract, they're not going to say, well, yeah, you had 8 goals, but we watched the footage, so I don't know.
So 0 for the week. I'm going to say Carlson.
That's bold.
Only 8 assists? What the hell, man?
Oh my God.
Only 8? You should already be at 100 already. God damn it. I'm only, of course I'm playing into the silly narrative that I'm like some ridiculous hater.
You're not?
No, I'm not. It's like I've seen some. It's well documented. I've seen the way he's treated some fans outside of it, and not something that I think is cool. But the reason why that I dumped on him for the previous 3 seasons is because his numbers were shit. He played like shit. And the thing is, and I hate to break this to everybody who, wants to call me a hater, I'm not the only one to say these things. Kevin Kurz actually just put out a really great article on The Athletic that the headline of it, I think, was something along the lines of, I was wrong about Carlson, parenthetically, but I was also right. And a couple, and just like me, hey, it's certain things. It's like, hey, I will throw Carlson his cookies when he earns them, but I don't want to hear people giving me shit when I call out the obvious. Oh, you're just a Carlson hater. Why? Ask yourself, why am I saying what I'm saying? Because it's true.
Truth hurts.
Yeah, some days. But anyway, no, I'm bullshitting. I think the Carlson thing was a gag. My zero for the week. I mean, I don't even know. you first. Maybe I'll just jump on your coattails.
You're not gonna. So.
Oh, say it, baby, say it. Now I'm all in.
First time of this season for sure. Maybe the first time ever.
Oh, here we go.
Nobody.
It. No zeros this week.
Nobody.
See, that's why I made you go first, because I was like, fuck.
I mean, obviously, yeah, I think with all these games, you can find isolated good moments, isolated bad moments, right? But over the course of the whole week, I don't think there's anybody who has strung a bunch of bad moments consecutively.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I'm there with you.
Maybe that's a cop-out answer. Maybe the haters are gonna not like it, but
oh no, not the haters.
But nobody, That's my official answer. Nobody.
Hold on. What I would Tiger. I would also like the apologies for reading Kurz's articles in the past. I don't even know what's happening in the chat right now. Oh man. So yeah, no, I think that's a solid pick, dude. Just kind of nobody stood out for having a bad week. You know what? Then we'll just say Sharky. The mascot could have done more. Probably. I don't know. On Tuesday, David Quinn said Svechnikov and Johnson, however you want to play it, may not play for the rest of the season. Again, I say, why bother? The season is over. These last 6 are formalities. Anybody who is injured, dude, if they trip on the curb walking into the gym, just dude, stay home rest of the season. So for that, dude, on Wednesday though, oh my Lanta, Jerk and I were jerking out a little bit over the direct messaging portion of Twitter when it was announced after Team Photo Day that Nikolai Knyzhov signed a 2-year extension, 1.25 AAV. How much do you love that 1.25 AAV, baby?
I love it. I love it so much, right?
Dude, if Doug Wilson was here, that would be $2 million.
No, but I think we talked about it last week, the potential, okay, Knyzhov's gone down. He might not play more NHL games. What if he goes Group 6 UFA? Is he going to leave? Yep. What's going on? Mm-hmm. And I like Mike Greer giving him, gave him, last year, Knyzhov got the 1-year extension, and it was very much like, hey, you were hurt, so let's try again here. And Knyzhov hasn't played that many games this year, but to get the 2-year extension, I think it's good for all parties. Number one, it's for Knyzhov. You get the player, you get the player feeling good, feeling confident about themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Because that 2-year extension is nice. You get that job security. And it's good value for the team, because if everything goes according to plan, Knyzhov, even if he's on your bottom pairing, that's a good dollar amount for a bottom pairing defenseman.
Well, and it's a one-way deal. And you know what I really respected about this is the fact that they signed this after he was sent down. Mm-hmm. I thought that was well done. And he worked so hard to rejoin the team. Is this a little reminiscent of Alex Stalock, where You have a player that goes through a significant injury and you show belief.
I would be surprised. I would be surprised if he's not the Sharks nominee for the Masterton, you know?
Hell yeah.
Like I don't think there's enough good things you can say about this player. And as I said, if at worst, if he's on the bottom pair, like that's good dollars for a bottom pair defenseman. But if he sort of becomes the permanent Carlson D pair, then that $1.25 million is so much better, you know? It's just a good deal all around. And again, it goes back to that conversation we were having about the Sharks blue line going to be very, very interesting next year.
And it's not one of these 8-year jobbies.
Not that it would be, you know.
I know, but you know what? You get what I'm saying. It's just like it just seemed like every deal that had been signed for ever recently with the Sharks, it was always about no maximum fucking term. Let's
Yeah.
But let's talk about the blue line. What are we going to see next season? Now, we obviously already have a bet on the line about Will Karlsson being wearing teal come this October. Now, let's, for shits and giggles, hypotheticals, let's just say Karlsson is a Shark this October.
Okay.
Who is he getting paired with? Is it Knyzhov? Is it Thrun? Is it Ferraro? Does, all of a sudden Mukhamadullin come out of nowhere in camp and just go right up the top of the ladder? Who do you see skating next to Karlsson on the blue line come October?
I just think, I think it's I think it's Knyzhov until it's not,
Ooh.
right. because look at, and again, this is assuming, as you pointed out, it's assuming the Sharks keep Karlsson for one.
Mm-hmm.
It's also assuming the Sharks don't go out in the trade or the free agent market and look for a partner for him, right?
Sure.
But
and why would you when the pipeline is this full?
Right. And you look at who's currently in the organization, like Vlasic, Ferraro, Shimmick, Banning, Thrun, McDonald, Knyzhov. I'm just going through the list here. Mukhamadullin, Larocque, Cicek, Knyzhov. There's a large handful of defensemen in this organization. And to me, maybe if you want, I don't know. I think some people might say Mario Ferraro, but
who?
I don't think Ferraro is necessarily ready to be kind of the defensive anchor.
I don't think he's ready to be a 1-2.
Right. Yeah. If Ferraro if Ferraro was playing the way that he did his first 2 years in the league, then I would say him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But because nobody else on this current squad really has any history playing with Karlsson besides Knyzhov, I think they'll probably just start Knyzhov Karlsson and see what happens,
So who's your second pair that you would project? Especially if you're thinking Ferraro is going to get that 3-4 look, which for whatever reason they continue to try to do here down the
I think it's going to be, here's the thing. Whatever your thoughts on Mario Ferraro are, right? He's getting paid. He's getting paid like a middle pairing defenseman. You have to play him there and just hope he can work out the nonsense, right?
So Ferraro, Thrun?
Maybe. Thrun is a left-handed defenseman, and they like to have guys on the proper side, right?
Sure.
But I would say if maybe Ferraro, Thrun, maybe Ferraro, Benning, only because I think Benning has done a good job at kind of winning a lot of people over.
Yes, and I'm one of them. So,
yeah.
So now this begs the question: hypothetically, Knyzhov,
Yes.
Karlsson,
Okay.
Ferraro, Benning. Where does that leave Thrun, McDonald, Shimmick, Vlasic? Are you still on the buyout Vlasic train?
No, I think if the Sharks are going to be terrible again next year, no point in creating extra financial hardship for yourself when you may actually be good again.
Sure.
I think it's another year of just ride out Vlasic's contract and see where things go. I do think You said Vlasic, you said McDonald, you said Šimik. McDonald, honestly, he's a seventh defenseman. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets flipped between now and next year's trade deadline. And Šimik,
only has 1 year left, right?
Yeah, next year is the final year on his contract. I'm still kind of like team buyout Šimik. You know, we talked about it last week. You know, you get immediate cap savings this year, and then immediate cap savings next year, and then in 2 years the cap penalty or cap charge, whatever you want to call it, is mitigated by some other dollars falling off the books. You know what I mean? And I know people are, and I understand why. You know, there's a lot of nervousness that comes with buyouts, but I really think Šimik, and to a lesser degree LeBanc as well. I know we're not talking about forwards, but I think that Šimik, like, I would buy out Šimik if you can't. Like, if you go to somebody and they say, hey, yeah, we'll take him, but you need to retaining salary, whatever. But like, if a team is like, hey, you got to throw in a sweetener, I'd rather just buy him out.
Molasses kind of with you. Molasses in the chat saying, top pair, Karlsson, Knyzhov, right where you're at. Second one, Ferraro, Thrun, kind of where both of us were. Maybe you flip Benning on that. And then Vlasic, Benning. So that leaves Šimik as your seventh D. So then, of course,
assuming he's not bought out.
But then again, it goes back to
McDonald,
Mukhamadullin.
I think Mukhamadullin, I think he needs a full year in the AHL.
Cool. What about,
because you look at him, right? Again, very good prospect. He definitely every year, right? There's always that guy where even if they're not close to mimicking the NHL roster, they get that really extended look in training camp, right? I think that's Mukhamadullin just because of the stature and the name recognition there. But we got to remember, like, he's played 6 North American professional games.
What about the other kid?
Aquachuk?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say kind of same in terms of like playing in the AHL. I mean, 15 NHL games, 80 or almost 120 AHL games. Like, he's a guy. Yeah, again, give him a look in camp. He's played NHL games, so maybe you just see what's there. But if he goes to the AHL, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. He doesn't need waivers, and he's not going to need waivers for a while. So,
well, and the name, I don't want to say the elephant in the room per se, but we haven't even brought up Knyzhov.
Yeah, I mean, same thing as Aquachuk, right? You give him a chance in training camp, but he probably starts with the Barracuda just to kind of reset and see where it goes.
All right.
And same thing with Gannon Larocque as well, and Nick Cicek,
Oh, yeah. We didn't even bring up Cicek. Jeez.
I would say of that group, the defensemen not currently on the NHL roster, I think Mukhamadullin, Knyzhov, and Larocque are going to get long looks in camp, and then I think Cicek, Knyzhov, Aquachuk, I think they're going to get a chance.
Unfortunately,
like a shorter look.
Unfortunately, we don't have a player called Hataka to talk about anymore.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Nick Cooper coming in. Thank you so much with the super chat. Thrun, Karlsson, Knyzhov, Benning, Vlasic, Ferraro. Ferraro cannot clear the zone, constantly losing an edge. Turnover machine. Can we please trade him? I mean, Karlsson, bit of a turnover machine as well.
Well, but
Chief produces points.
Well, and that's the game, right? Like, there's with certain players, Karlsson being one of them, right?
I think Thrun Karlsson would actually be a lot of fun to watch. If we're talking about wanting to do entertaining hockey, even though we know the Sharks right now on paper probably not going to make the playoffs again for another season, Thrun and Karlsson would be a lot of fun to watch, to be quite honest.
I think here's the thing specifically with Thrun, he played he played somewhere in the neighborhood of he played 99 games with Harvard University, right?
Harvard,
and he and he had 84 points, right? Like,
so you say.
That's good, that's a good offensive output for a college defenseman, right? And so I think if you think that offense translate to the NHL, I don't think it makes sense to have him paired with Erik Karlsson. But if you subscribe to the Kevin Lacey mindset where Thrun is going to end up being more of a defensive guy, then I think putting him with Karlsson makes sense.
I would agree with that. It's either way and everybody knows I'm not the biggest fan of talking about hyperbolic what could be bullshit, but considering how clogged the blue line pipe is for San Jose,
which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But it definitely found or felt like a good chew toy to gnaw on a little bit. So
yeah, totally.
It's in of course the big key in this. The three big names, let's be honest, the three big names that we're all going to be eyeballing over the offseason is Karlsson in a trade and Vlasic and Šimik in buyouts.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I do want to you have it on the notes. I do want to give it a shout. I am curious. I am that defenseman from Finland, Valtteri Pulli. I am curious if that gets across the finish line.
Especially when you can again consider how clogged the pipe is.
Yeah, I mean, again,
what do you know about that at this point?
The last I heard, which was probably close to a month ago by this point, was he was going to sign once his season was over, which by all indications it is. And that not that San Jose was necessarily the front runner or anything, but that was kind of one of the big players vying for his services. And we'll see. I mean, it's so hard to from the Finnish Elite League to the NHL, it's not a straight line, right? And so it's hard to really say how much of a transition, like how good of a transition it'll be, right? But I think based on what he's done over in Finland, I think it's an intriguing prospect to potentially get their hands on. And he's 22 years old. He just turned 22, so he is a little bit older. The development curve is already a little bit ahead of the game. And I haven't watched him with my own eyes, but I know we've got a couple people in the server who have, and you read some scouting reports as well.
On the cord?
For being 6'6", it sounds like he's actually a pretty good skater. So
nice.
If at the end of the day all it costs to get him is money, you don't have to give up a pick or a player or anything. You just pay him the money to sign him. I don't see a reason to not, do it, right? But we'll see if it gets across the finish line, right?
Well, this has been a fun exercise. Definitely the chat has been involved. Jesse saying Cicek, not an NHL player. Nick saying Karlsson and Thrun are best puck movers, so pair them with the top line as much as possible. Jesse saying don't put Thrun with EK65. We'll have another graduate of the EK65 intern program to a playoff team.
I think I understand. So can you pull up that? Was it Nick Cooper who said that
about the best puck movers?
I think that's if the Sharks are in a situation where maybe they're trailing in a game and they want to try and get back into it.
Sure,
I think that's what you do, right? But they are both, like I said, and like Jesse had said as well. They are both of the puck moving variety, at least what we've seen in the NHL, right? So I think it makes more sense because they bring similar things to the table, it makes more sense to have them play separately and kind of get a more balanced kind of look with the lineup.
Well, and I like Kevin's point here. Knyzhov is a defensive defenseman. Pair him with EK65. Thrun unlocked Ferraro.
And you know what? If Thrun or Ferraro are okay with playing on their offside, then I would co-sign that.
Killer. I'll move. Boom. Another super chat as I'm about to move on. Again, from Nick. Thank you so much, sir. Seems like we actually have decent depth for left-handed, but who do we have for right? Let's get that back up there. Who do we have for right-handed in the D-man pipeline? Benning is better as a third pair. I got to say, I was not sold on Benning at the beginning of the season. He's kind of talked me into it a little bit like Dylan did his first year.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's a solid point. You're definitely going to have a guy or two who's going to have to get comfortable playing on their offside.
Well, and it's a good point that Nick has brought up here, because you look, Erik Karlsson and Matt Benning, they're the only true right-handed defenseman on this team. I'm sorry, right defenseman on this team, because they are right-handed.
Are you trying to say we can't get Burns back?
No, I don't want him back. But Gannon Larocque is another right defenseman. But to Nick's point, everybody else is a left defenseman. So now, is this a situation where obviously, like, you're not doing this with Thrun and you're not doing this with Muka Madulin because you just got them, right?
Yep.
But is this a situation where maybe and put your pitchforks away, but is this a situation where maybe Mike Grier is thinking, another right-handed defenseman will do us good? Is there somebody out there who fits that bill that we can get and pay up one of the million of left-handed defensemen that we have? You know what I mean? Maybe, I know they just signed him, but maybe a Knyzhov, maybe Mario Ferraro, maybe Knyzhov or Cicek, one of these guys in a situation where, hey, we got a bunch of left-handed defensemen. Why don't we try and swap for a guy that's of a similar skill and potential level, but is a right-handed defenseman?
Is Havelid a righty?
Let's find out together.
Let's go to the videotape.
Matthias Havelid is a right-handed defenseman. That's a good shout.
Go.
That's a good shout.
And again, great shout. And in fact, I remember seeing another name come along the pipeline here. If I can, Pouliot. So
yeah, we'll see if he resigns, right?
Yeah, but it just as we wrap this, discussion about the Sharks' blue line future, it comes down to what we're talking about. This is the problem as Mike Grier that you want to have.
Yes.
I have too many options on the blue line.
Yeah.
So,
well, remember a year ago, I think we had the conversation of, okay, Karlsson and Ferraro. Who the hell else is on this team?
You're not wrong. You are the king of putting together like the contests and the spreadsheets. We might have to put together a pool or some sort of thing that it's who can properly, correctly predict the blue line pairings for opening night next season. I think that'd be a lot of fun. It's a good exercise.
Pairings might be tough, but I'd be curious.
Hey, whoever gets closest.
Yeah, or even hey, who, what 7 defensemen, right? Some kind of variation.
They can win second prize.
Sure.
But there will be a first prize for the person who nails it.
And what's funny is I was kind of trying to, we did last year, we did the contest for the Barabanov extension and the Ferraro extension.
Oh, that's right. That was so much fun. It certainly took it certainly took long enough and it occupied our summer.
Yeah, and I do wonder, just looking, the Sharks don't really have any big notable names that are coming up for contract unless you're, unless
Noah
Fabian
Gregor?
Zetterlund or Noah. Yeah, but these guys, these aren't guys that we're expecting to get term or a lot of dollars. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think honestly, the guy who I was eyeing for this year's version of the contest was Knyzhov, but he signed.
What do you think? How much long does Barabanov have?
Barabanov, he's got next year, and then he's going to he's potentially a UFA again.
You think maybe Chief gets a little, I don't know, 3-year goose over the offseason?
You think they give him an extension?
I mean, dude has literally done. We've talked about it before. Playing to your contract, playing above your contract. He is literally the only player. I mean, okay, yes, you can say Karlsson, but I mean, let's be honest. Karlsson this season, bit of an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say Barabanov, only player, at least at forward. Let's switch it out that way. At forward, the only player for the Sharks this season that has played above their contract. So maybe they throw out something while the getting's good, like, hey, how about spending another 3 years after next year?
Well, and there's certain considerations here as well.
Okay, 2 years.
No, your idea. I'm down with your idea, just in a bubble, right? But I think and we said we said this with, I think we said it with Barabanov last year. We said it with Timo Meier. Like, we've said it a bunch, right? Where it depends on what Mike Greer's vision is. If this is a situation where it's like, hey, we're crap now and we're going to be crap next year, but in 2 years, that's where we think the ship is going to turn. Because every team that goes through a rebuild, there's that 1 year where maybe they fight for a wild card spot and miss out, or maybe they get swept in the first round, where it's like, okay, this is kind of, they dip their toe in, and then next year they're getting ready to jump in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's a situation where, where the Sharks think that maybe in 2 years they're going to be back into the swing of things, maybe that's where you say, hey, Barbie, we'd love to keep you, let's, here's the vision. What are your thoughts? Because here's the other thing you need to keep in mind. Like, Barabanov was like, there's such a long history here. In 2021, UFA, Sharks are terrible. He says, no, you know what? I'm going to stay. And then 2022, he's UFA, Sharks are terrible. Not only does he stay, but $2.5 million, even if it's a small sample size for what he did last year, $2.5 million is a good deal. If he had gone to UFA, somebody out there is going to say, hey, we've got 2/3 of a top line that could use a guy like this. How's $4 million sound, right?
Dude. And let's hit a couple from the chat. Nick Cooper again on the super chat. Thank you so much.
Shout out to Nick.
Havlid, from what I've read, more of an offensive right-handed D with a controlled shot. I would be open to trading a left-handed D or young forward for a defensive right-handed D.
Yeah. I mean, I know
I feel like Greer is definitely open to money-making moves. I mean, I think it shocked a lot of people when he traded down from the first round. So Chief is he's ready to make moves, and clearly the eyeball is it's funny, they say many people are saying that you build a Stanley Cup winner from the net out.
Yeah.
It seems as though he's going, well, what if we started at the blue line and then maybe we'll address the net later?
I mean, I've never it's funny. I've never heard of a bad team having too many good defensemen.
Right.
And this is, I kind of like what Mike Greer is going for, because you could look at the Sharks prospect pool, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are guys where Mike Greer is like, hey, we like this guy, and as soon as he's ready, we want to get him into our NHL lineup. And there might be other guys who are like, yeah, this guy is good, but if we get the opportunity to get somebody that we like a little bit more, we'll flip them at a moment's notice. And I think that's kind of Greer's play, right? I mean,
and I don't have a problem with that, because Wilson for me fell too in love with some guys.
Right, and even just Thrun, like, I know that we're all really juiced about Henry Thrun right now because of just obviously what he's done in college and then what he's done in limited NHL action. But even Thrun, right, if there's a situation where, say there's a really good 24-year-old restricted free agent defenseman that doesn't want to sign with their team, and Greer's like, hey, we'd love that guy and we're going to give up Thrun to do it. Like,
yeah.
That's still a good play. I like Greer's approach of like, okay, let's just accumulate as many defensive prospects as we can, and then when the big fish comes available, we're gonna pounce.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Big hook on a little fucking pole.
Yeah.
Ricky saying, when it comes to playing above your contract, Nico Sturm. Absolutely. I'd be there too, but at least to me, here's what I'm gonna like fumble when I try to say. Nick Sturm is being played where he's expected to play.
Yeah.
Barabanov, to me, maybe being given more responsibility than most would in that situation, and he's succeeding. So that's why I give Alexander that stick tap. That sound fair?
No, that's fair, because you don't, like, a guy like Barabanov, he's not.
Jesus Christ, fucking Ian. Everyone loves the young D.
Oh gosh. he Barabanov, he doesn't make a lot of money, and he was kind of before he signed, I would even, before he signed with the Maple Leafs, but definitely before he got to the Sharks, he was a pretty relative unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that he's been able to play, I mean, you look like it seems like he's played with everybody, since he's been here,
Oh,
right?
dude.
And so I think the fact that he's so adaptable, I think only adds to his value. But that said, with Nico Sturm, I still think that's a good shout, because
That's a great shout.
Look at the Sharks' bottom six this year. It's been terrible except for him, pretty much.
Well, and it's been so topsy turvy. One game LeBank's on the bottom six, the next week or the next game he's on the top six. You don't know who you have. It seems like the only consistent that we've seen over the last month is like whatever line Lawrence is centering, Lindblom's going to be on one of his wings.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much been about it. Sturm on the third line, geez, I mean, you talk Forrest Gump box of chocolates.
Yeah.
You just don't know what's going to happen. So, I don't know. This has been a fun talk about this, and I think maybe next week, because again, as we're getting down to the last couple of weeks, maybe next week we'll tackle the forward group, see what kind of nonsense, who we can piss off.
Not as exciting as the defense, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because, of course, defensive pipeline, obviously a bit more clogged.
Yeah.
But these are fun problems to have at this point.
Right, because again, you like, regardless of what you think about each individual player, like the Sharks, it feels like for the first time in this stretch of
in my
being
lifetime,
terrible, right? Even just this 4-year stretch of being terrible, they've had this feels like the first time that they've actually had options.
Mm-hmm. And I really like Kevin's comment here. Oops. Okay, Ricky, you got a free one on there, not that one. Kevin, Gushin might make Barabanov unnecessary.
Maybe.
Could. I mean, dude, that snipe shot. Whoo,
I mean, I thought, I really thought like the preseason game against Vegas where Gushkin had a hat trick, like I was saying, like, put him on the plane to Prague, like, let's see.
Dude.
So I think, I mean, nothing, he's played one NHL game. Nothing is guaranteed, right? But I think what has been shown up to this point,
remember Lucas Radil?
Right. He's definitely earned the opportunity to see what he's got. Like, I think, it felt like last summer Mike Grier was signing pretty much every bottom six guy that was available, right? And now I wonder if for this coming summer, Grier just lets all those guys go. You have Nico Sturm and you have Steven Lawrence. You have these guys kind of like your skeleton of the bottom six. But sure. I would just, all these young guys that the Sharks are holding on to, I would just kind of rotate them all in and see what happens.
Nick Cooper coming in again. Dude, you are literally the singular person keeping this show on the air right now. I'm high on Kaut more than most. Good size, willing to forecheck. Faster than he looks. Think he is a potential solid third line right winger. I could not agree more. And just like I was saying, we're going to get into the forward group next week as we kind of like finish off the season. But I think, dude, that's something to take note for next week.
And I think, and obviously, like,
especially if LeBanc can fucking crack the top six,
right? And I think like a prospect of Ryan Merkley's stature, right? I think even though it's not worked out in San Jose for him, it still kind of bums you out that he gets traded away for obvious reasons. But I think with what Mike Grier had done to the defense, right? I mean, again, we've talked about it, but Ryan Merkley goes out the door, but Knyzhov gets healthy. You bring in Muka Medulin, you bring in Henry Thrun, you've got Larocque that you're sitting on, you've got you bring in Akutyuk as well, and Chichek, Knyzhov, right? All these guys. And
well, dude, when Kaut got sent down earlier this week, I was kind of bummed.
Right. And I think, that's kind of like what we were going back to talking about earlier, having a handful of guys, and it's like, okay, we like you, you're good, but we're going to trade you to get somebody that is more usable for us. And I think Martin Kaut, same kind of thing. It was guy struggling for guy struggling kind of thing, but both guys had high potential.
And dude, I'll be first on record to say Kaut so far made more of his opportunity than Ryan Merkley.
I agree 100%. And with Martin Kaut, like and
Chief literally has the ability to become the understudy to Cale Makar and is failing miserably.
Right. And with Martin Kaut, he's coming into a situation where he didn't really have to work all that hard to get a chance in the NHL, just because, as we've said, the Sharks forward group is so uninspiring. But he's made good impressions. 14 points in 16 games with the Barracuda, 5 points in 9 games with the Sharks. Like, it's a small sample size for sure, but you're going into a new team. There's a lot of stature surrounding your name. You want to make a good impression, especially when you're kind of like the only option,
Mm-hmm. I like Ricky saying, moving out Hatakka still pisses him off. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Just because Jerk and I had so much fun going, a player called Hataka.
Even then though, right? Like,
so
how much have we talked about it? Like, we like players, right? But
sure,
how much have we talked about it? Like, no one is safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that.
Right? Like, I like Hatakka, right? But I'm choosing to look at it as like, okay, yeah, you subtract Hatakka, but you add a Mukhamadullin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I'm choosing to look at it.
So let's finish off this week of kind of like moves and what was going on with the front office. On Thursday, the Sharks recalled Thomas Bordeleau. A sure sign, of course, that the CUDA have, in fact, given up on postseason aspirations. Bordeleau got a couple games there. Anything out of the ordinary?
No, I think like we talked about, we're at the point where
he didn't set the world on fire, but he certainly didn't. He wasn't a player where I'm like, God damn it,
No, and these are the Sharks need. We've said it the last 3 weeks. The Sharks need to know who's a next year and beyond guy, right? And obviously,
someone who we're going to send a training camp Valentine to,
right? And obviously, they know that Bordeleau is that guy, but getting him in, and it allows for tinkering. Okay, we know that you're part of the future, but what are you going to be for us? Let's see what you do playing with Couture, see what you do playing with Hurdle, see what you do centering your own line, right? It's like rebuilding team, Stanley Cup team in the middle. Like I support, like, if you're in the shits not going anywhere or you've already clinched a playoff spot, tinker. Like, tinkering does not hurt you when you're either really bad or really good, because you just want to see what yields what, right?
Sure. Well, finally, to polish us off, the Sharks finally reported that William Eklund is going to deal with a shoulder surgery he had performed, but he will be ready for camp in September. To me, this just goes back to what I was saying earlier, is rest everybody. There's no reason.
I just think it's so. Obviously, glad that Eklund, got the surgery now, and he's got 5.5 months to recover and get back to going. But I just think it's so goofy, so incredibly goofy that
it looked like such an innocuous play, to be honest, though.
No, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm just literally saying, like, you're giving an update on your prized prospects, like, health and surgery update, and you got to give a shout out to the hospital that's a sponsor. Right? Like, is that not goofy?
And to be honest, that was a little bit goofy. Like, I was just kind of like, successful surgery performed at Kaiser Permanente. William Eklund will be resting at home for the next 5 months while sipping on Coca-Cola. And who's the other sponsor?
Yeah. Like, if he got that surgery at, like, Valley Med or El Camino Hospital, they're not getting a plug.
No. Some Swedish doctor.
Yeah, right? Like, yeah, or if he went back home to get the surgery, like, they're not getting a shout out.
Yeah, that was a little like, okay, we get it, guys. They're a sponsor. So he'll be at home, drinking Coca-Cola, listening to, whatever radio station, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he'll,
Everything has to be
and
fucking sponsored here.
we've got a summer update here. William Eklund, via WebEx. What's
Dude, how
what's
are
been
you
going
paying
on?
off your bills? Well, I use Tech CU as my, banking establishment to take care of all of my bills.
Right, yeah, like he's got the
While
he's giving
using
a shout out.
SAP technology to
Yeah, William Eklund via WebEx. How are you doing? Well, with the virtual visits that Kaiser Permanente is able to offer, I can get I can get up to minute updates on my PT and recovery process. Like
I know it's a bad look, dude.
it's so
Dude,
goofy.
dude, it's so creepy. I'm so afraid that like come this October, the patch in the upper right of the shoulder is gonna be Kaiser Permanente for San Jose. Dude, I'm gonna be so pissed.
John Swenson giving a shout out to El Camino Hospital. We love El Camino
There
Hospital.
you go.
They scan. I got a concussion and they scanned my head. So shout out to them.
Bet alert: 6 games left. 6 versus teams that are in the playoff picture. Things changed remarkably. You sounded very defeated with regards to the bet last week. Now I feel like this week you're kind of like, hey, what up? There's a chance.
Yeah. I mean, it does, winning 3 of the next 6 feels a bit rich,
but
it's not impossible.
Dude, we literally laughed a week ago at this time that the number of wins that the Sharks would get this past week would start with the number 2. And it started with 3. So
Right.
Stranger things have happened. So if the Sharks go 3-3 or better over the next, dude, if they fucking sweep this week,
Certainly not impossible.
dude, if they sweep this week, I may have to deliver the $5 to you in person.
So you might have to can't just be like Swift Shark. You're worried that you're gonna lose your wager, so you just fall off the earth.
That could be.
The Sharks win their 3 games and it comes out the next day. AJ deleted his Twitter. Like,
Who?
yeah, which one is AJ again? Like,
so around the NHL, I saw something earlier this week. Now Phoenix is opening up lawsuits about the Coyotes moving to Tempe. Are you kidding me? What the fuck is going on? Anybody?
honestly,
Bueller?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know
The hockey, what's his name? The hockey guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a whole video about it that like Phoenix is because they want to build this whole thing in Tempe. It's going to be a big entertainment district. Funnily enough, that's where they played before, was in a big entertainment district, just not in an area of the town that anybody wanted to be entertained. But they want to build a new entertainment district in Tempe that also includes apartments, and evidently it's like in a flight path, and there's just tell him I'll be back.
I honestly, this is I'm probably the worst person to ask because I don't know what's going on. Like, it seems like with the city of Phoenix and with Glendale, obviously, like it feels like, it feels very much like the, you break up with your partner, right? And you're like, no, I don't care. I'm not even interested in them anymore. And then they start dating somebody else, and immediately you come back around and you say, oh, well, maybe I am interested, right? And it's just, I don't know. It's just it's weird, like, I don't know why. I mean, unless Phoenix is like posturing to try and get the Coyotes into the downtown Phoenix arena again. But from what I understand, they had that chance and passed on it, right? So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I'm really unsure. And even, from what I understand, even the city council vote in Tempe, I've heard, is not, totally guaranteed to even go through. So is just another log on the fire. That is the Arizona Coyotes drama.
Well, Puck Guy's saying they have no problem with the arena and entertainment district. It's the housing because the residents might complain about the noise. Boo fucking who? Don't move there. I mean, are you fucking kidding me with this? I mean, dude, San Jose SJC has noise things in place and curfews and shit like that. And when, for people who aren't aware of the way San Jose is situated, for the most part, planes come in from the southwest and leave going northeast. But when the temperature gets tweaky, they have to go the other way.
Wind is a big thing too.
I'm sorry?
Well, I know sometimes they got to change the way they take off and come in when the wind is a thing too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what I'm saying. But when they take off, they actually take off over, like 101 Lafayette towards Levi's. There are some homes over there. There are apartments over in that neck of the woods. In fact, before we moved here, myself and my wife, we actually looked at a place off of Lafayette, and while we were looking at the open home, a plane took off, and we went, no. But there were other people that lived there that we spoke with, and they're like, you know what? It's one of those things where, after a week, you don't even hear it anymore. And so either way, just to hear this shit, I'm just like, I feel like Phoenix they're suing because it's like, oh, we can't lose the Coyotes because they can bring in money but it's, because everything's about cash.
Right. Well, and I made the point where you stepped away, where it was like,
I was taking a piss. I had to, sorry.
Yeah. Where, you break up with your partner and you're not interested in them anymore until they found someone new.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Nobody else can have them. I just don't want them. F you. Just, again, this is that whole thing where I'm just, what's happening with Ottawa? The bids are on to like the second thing or the third thing. You've got photos, lot of money. You've got Ryan Reynolds taking photos with people wearing, cosplay Deadpool Ottawa Senator mascot outfits. It's fantastic. I hope Ryan Reynolds gets it.
I wonder,
everything that guy touches turns to gold. So I hope he gets it.
I've wondered, what I've wondered? So there, Ryan Reynolds Consortium is just one of a handful of groups that have made a bid. I wonder if the Ottawa Senators end up going with a different group for this sale, I wonder if the NHL would go to them and say, hey, we're not going to tell you what to do, but
there's a team in Arizona.
No, not even that, but just like, if Ottawa goes with another bid, I wonder if the NHL would say, hey, is there any way you can get Ryan Reynolds involved? Like, let's just say Ottawa doesn't go with his consortium.
Sure. But it goes back to something we were talking about a couple of weeks ago with this whole idea of like more expansion. And I'm like, bitch, like, okay, Ottawa is its own thing or whatever, but like, can you figure out what the hell you're going to do with the Coyotes before we even talk about expansion?
Right.
So.
And the thing is, you look like for the longest time, a good stretch, probably about 10 years, right? Where Arizona, Carolina, and Florida were the three teams where everybody was like, man, these teams are dark marks on the league. They're bringing the overall value down. And like, look at what Carolina's become. Look at what, they're a good team, playoffs 5 years in a row. They have draw now. They can sign free agents. Florida, they hosted the All-Star game. They made the playoffs. They do all these stuff.
Dude, I feel like Florida to me hosted the All-Star game so well that I'm kind of like, yeah, put them in the mix every 5 years.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, Carolina and Florida have been able to kind of pull themselves out of the dumpster a little bit, and even Ottawa too. And Arizona is still living there.
Well, I'm just, I know we talked about it a few weeks ago where Brad Marchand was just like, nobody wants to play the All-Star game in Edmonton. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, if we're going to do the All-Star game, let's put it in a place where people actually want to go to. And I'm totally down with that It's the idea of let's treat it like the Super Bowl. It seems like, Louisiana, New Orleans or San Diego or Miami, like they get the Super Bowl like every 5 years, every
Right.
6 years, whatever. Do the same thing with the All-Star game. If you're going to continue to have it, which again, I still feel like why, but if you're going to continue to have it, then yeah, do it in Miami or Sunrise, wherever the fucking Panthers play. Do it there. Then do it in Arizona. People like going there.
I would say
good temperature for that time of the year if you want to play golf.
Yeah, I look at it as like Arizona, Vegas, San Jose, Anaheim, LA, Florida, Tampa. You got 7 locations that you can just cycle through, in terms of like good weather and all that kind of stuff.
Well, in San Jose, even though that time of the year, it's, you can still make your way to Napa. You can make it down to Carmel and Monterey.
Santa Cruz, yeah.
Yeah, you can play the golf down there. So yeah, but I mean, fuck yeah, dude. Like LA, come on. Vegas, yeah. Arizona, golf courses. Like, yeah, just cycle through it. Pick these 6 Sunbelt cities, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Cycle through those. And then you know what? Those 6 or 7 cities, they never get to host a draft.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get to host what's the other big thing?
All-Star game. Or I'm sorry, outdoor game.
Yeah, they don't get a draft. They don't get an all-star game. And that'd be fine. Like, okay, again, NHL, you're welcome. We've again solved the problem for you. Let's move on here as we kind of finish the night off. Oh man. Oh, I'm so dry. It's too dry now. Fucking. Evidently, earlier this week, Gary Bettman came out and said the league is going to evaluate future Pride nights after the player protests. It's, quote, it's become a distraction. Again, it's the Stahl brothers, it's Reimer, it's Provorov, it's who was it, the Wild and the Islanders and whoever else?
Yeah,
Chicago.
They didn't do them like, I don't know. I just look at it as like the NHL, they want to grow the game. They want to get more eyeballs on the sport. You don't do that when you don't do that by getting tired of hearing the homophobes complain and just give up on your initiative. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I'm kind of like, look, either everybody's welcome or they're not. But if we're gonna get rid of the Pride initiative thing, can we dump the fucking St. Patrick's Day one too?
Get rid of all of them.
Yeah, that's what I said. Military, cancer. My wife is a cancer survivor, and I guarantee you, if I asked her right now, honey, would you be upset if the NHL stopped doing a fucking a game in November to recognize cancer? She would be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like, I don't even care. I don't know. So yeah, it's if you're gonna dump, you've heard the phrase "come one, come all." This is the whole thing of dump one, dump all. Now it sucks because these initiatives help raise money for good causes, but maybe you can come up with something else. Maybe it doesn't have to be a league-wide initiative, because can we be brutally honest for a second and say, you know what? Maybe something like Pride plays fine in San Jose or LA or Anaheim, but maybe the idea of Pride doesn't play well in a Midwest area. Maybe in Detroit, the idea of Pride doesn't play well. Maybe you say, hey, you know what? California, we're going to do Pride here, but hey, in Detroit, we're going to do NRA night. So, you know what I mean? Like something that at least goes along with the area. It's like, I'm half trying to make a joke, but I'm also half totally true, where it's just kind of like, Look, if Detroit, I have family that live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. They are card-carrying NRA members. I'm not a big gun fan. Like if you want to have a gun, a Glock or so, a handgun to Smith and Wesson, sure. If that's your protection agency, sure. Do I feel like you need a semi-automatic weapon of war to protect your home? No, I don't. But if that's the whole thing, it was just like, well, and I'm kind of going off tangent because it seemed like the reason that certain players or teams like jumped off the Pride ship, it had to do with Russian law. So how do we tackle that jerk? Do we just stomp out everything?
I honestly don't know, because I think, like you said, the initiatives, the Knights, they raise money for a lot of good causes, and again, you you claim to want to get new fans, make hockey more available to more people, right? You don't do that by and here's the thing. People are going to say, well, if they do nothing and say nothing, what does it matter? Guess what? When you do nothing, like you're still alienating a group of people, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the whole idea is what was it? If you refuse to stand for something, then you stand for nothing.
Right. And I don't know. I think there's so much to be said about this, and I don't feel like I'm the right person to say it, but
neither am I.
But what I do feel comfortable in saying is that, if the NHL does decide, they have decided to not make it a mandatory initiative, it's going to tell us a lot about a lot of people, right? And I think, the Sharks, the Dallas Stars, I believe it was the Dallas Stars, I think they went about their Pride Nights the right way. And
I felt like the Sharks went about it the right way.
Yeah, no, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I only heard Dallas. My bad.
And so I just, you learn a lot about people, and I guess that's kind of it, right?
Yeah. And again, it's like we don't want to become some polarizing talking thing. It's just it's just kind of like where I have to choose my words carefully here. I don't want to get canceled. It's just the whole idea of putting on the Pride jersey. It's not an endorsement of, the quote unquote gay lifestyle or LGBTQ, blah, blah, blah. It's not an endorsement. It putting on the jersey doesn't make you gay. You're just putting on that jersey, supporting the idea of everybody is welcome. That's it. What a great thing to say. You're all welcome. And it kind of goes back to, what we say about your Discord rules. Everybody's welcome. # don't be a dick. That's it. And at least if you're going to be a dick to somebody, at least have some sort of relationship with that person and know that they will take whatever you're throwing at them. They're going to understand that it's meant with love, and they're just, goofing on you. They don't mean that. Go look at the Discord. I get roasted on a regular fucking basis.
It's not the same.
No, it is. Of course, it isn't. It's not at all. But let me just say this. I guarantee you, though, if I said something on Discord that like, hey guys, your relentless memes and mockery of me is starting to upset me, they would stop. They respect it. But again, I'm the way I am. I know it's all meant in fun and in love, and it's fucking AJ needs to go die. It's not meant like that. And that's the way that I take it. But go ahead.
So I'm not gonna name names, but there's a lot of stupid comments coming through the chat, so I think we should just move on. What I will say on
Well, no,
this,
look, can't we
no,
address it?
I'm not addressing shit because this is going sideways very fast.
Okay.
Here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line for me. Being part of the LGBTQ community, that's who you are. Going to church, that's a choice. And if you don't like it, too bad. Next question.
Okay. Well, then I will say clearly Jerk doesn't want to address the chat right now, and I respect that. Totally respect that. If you want to continue this conversation, which I'm totally open to doing.
Take it to Twitter. I'm not bringing it into the Discord.
Well, then there you go. Hit me up on Twitter directly. My only thing, just be respectful. Have your point, but just be respectful. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just be respectful of everybody's kind of outlook on this whole thing. I know it's a tough dodge, but we all have to try to live with each other. So let's make the best of it. And speaking of make the best of things,
Ooh, Barracuda.
oh, Ian, where are you, my friend? The Sharks went 0-1-1 this week. Oh, in Texas. Robbins gets his 16th of the season. Guy we talked about earlier, Muka Badulin, gets his second assist of the season. Pouliot picks up his third, a game-winning goal. Dell stops 22 of 23 in Texas for that first one. Not too shabby. I'm going to ask you, Jerk, right now, are you a little surprised that Tristan Robbins is not getting the plane ticket to come up to the big club?
You know,
dude is killing it lately.
Considering, well, yes, correct. He is killing it, but also considering that everybody else has gotten the plane ticket, right? Like you kind of figured Guy would get a chance. And granted, you know, the Sharks, they have, what do they have? They have 6 games left. Like there's still time, right? Like, you know, tomorrow or Tuesday, you know, Gushkin could easily go down and Robbins goes up, right? And so, you know, I do think there is still time, but that said, I thought, you know, Agazino, Criscuolo, getting a look over Robbins, not to say that was like
the suspicioso.
Yeah, like it's not terrible. Like obviously those players have had good years for the Barracuda, but just the fact that, like, you know, it always feels like there's one guy, right, who, like, no matter what they do, they don't get the call, you know?
I know. I was so bummed out. I'm like, come on, Robbins, could you imagine? Anyway, but it's a 2-1 overtime loss, and you're like, all right, well, you know, hey, overtime win. So you pick up a couple. We know that the Barracuda are fighting for that playoff spot. And then the next night, holy crap, possibly the worst loss of the season. Check out Ian in our chat. I'm sure he will confirm or deny. Oof, 7-2 loss. The only goals are scored by Robbins and Raska. Again, Robbins. Look at that, Mo. Dude, Dell yanked after allowing 5 goals on 23 shots. Man did somewhat better, but, you know, it's probably easy to be pretty relaxed where you're like coming into a game going, yeah, this is already over. Oof. And Ricky coming in on the chat saying, I was at that game.
Well, and you know,
how'd that feel, Rick?
Well, and Ian pointing out that the Barracuda only were carrying 9 forwards.
I know.
9 healthy forwards.
Oof. But that is what that team is for, is to service the master above them. So they're doing it all right.
Right.
But the CUDA 28-33, 1 and 4, 8th in the Pacific, 6 points out of the playoffs with I think 6 left. It's over. It's over, guys. Just deal with it and enjoy what we had this season. Enjoy the fact that we got to watch the Barracuda play in some pretty, dude, tell me if I'm wrong, those fucking steel jerseys.
Those are those are pretty choice.
Oh, dude, the steel and the ice jerseys. The black ones that have the CUDA thing down the, it looks a little stale. I think you can do better, but
Yeah, I mean, not the worst I've seen, but not exactly the best either.
yeah, but the steel and the ice jerseys,
Yeah, those ones are a beauty.
oh, you love to see it.
Yeah.
So at least you had that. You had the Barracuda playing in a brand new arena this season that is so much fucking fun to go to. Have you have you been able to partake yet?
No, the only time I got to go out to Texiu Arena was it was when there wasn't a game going on. I was
boo.
I was at the facility, for a completely different reason. But from what I did get to see, it's a nice freaking building, and I don't know when I'll get to take in a game there, but I hope that I get to, because it looks like a nice intimate kind of well put together like place to play.
Yeah, we might have to have you here for the season opener next season, my friend. Dude.
Maybe they'll let me drop the puck.
Hey, now I will work on that. Send me an email.
Put a bag over my head.
Yeah. So Tech CU, just so much fun. Narrative Fermentations, if you're a beer guy like I am, just a couple blocks down the street. They got plenty of parking. It's my point being, great experience, a hell of a lot of fun. Every seat is club level if you've ever gone to a Sharks game. And that's what I really appreciate about it. And I really like Mad River Brewing. They don't sponsor us. They probably should. But that's my beer go-to when I'm there. Either way, the CUDA are going to play 4 this week. It's a heavy week after just 2 last. They're going to be at Coachella tomorrow. You look at the schedule. Coachella has not been kind to the Barracuda this season. Then at San Diego on Wednesday, but then they finish up their season at Tech CU. Final 2 games at home this Friday and Saturday, hosting Colorado. So, of course, Saturday will be fan appreciation night. So I know there's giveaways and stuff like that. Earlier game than usual. I think Friday is like 7, but Colorado on Saturday is like 6, somewhere in there. Either way, take the time if you're around. Go enjoy it. I think my buddy Brett and I, we're going to try to hit that fan appreciation game. Again, it starts at like 6 o'clock, and what's cool about it is that the Sharks play at 1 o'clock at SAP earlier that
double
day.
Dip.
Yeah, dude, so double dip. Like, get your hockey in now, because it's literally that next Saturday is the last time hockey will be played in San Jose until October. So get your dip in now, is what Jerk is trying to say. So with that, do we have a tweet of the week? Let's fire it up and let's see what happens. We might not. Tweet of the week. And yes, there it is. What a night. You got Cuolo, first NHL goal. Gushin, first NHL goal. Gregor, first NHL hat trick. And Nico Sturm hitting his 200th NHL game. So basically, in a season full of suck, it was a good week, right?
Yeah.
It was fun.
Well, what did we say in the first show of the season?
Just be entertaining.
Be fun. Yeah. You can lose and still have fun moments, right?
Oh, it reminds me of Gen X. It's like the only way to win is by losing more. I felt like that could have applied to this season. Just a scotch. So, coming up this week, the Sharks are going to play their final 3 games at home. We got a pair versus the Colorado Avalanche Tuesday and Thursday, and then a matinee. I can't stress that enough. Matinee game on Saturday versus the Oilers. Fan Appreciation Day. Jerk, this is the 3rd time this season. Last I looked, the Sharks play 82 games. This is the only the third time where the Sharks are going to play the same team consecutively at the same location.
Sure.
Why can't this happen more often? Come on. Bubble hockey showed that it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm sure there will be some weird excuse of, right, the fans love excess travel, right? Yeah, it should be a thing. I do kind of like I kind of like the let it simmer kind of thing, right?
Dude,
Where
I love it.
No, but I mean, I see it both ways, right? Where it's like, say, the Sharks and whoever, the Sharks in Vegas, they play, and it's a real bloodbath, right? From the NHL's point of view, I could, if they were to say, hey, that was a bloodbath, well, guess what? Next month they're gonna have another bloodbath, and building the anticipation. I get that point of view, but at the same time, if you say, hey, you enjoyed that bloodbath, guess what? Day after tomorrow, it's going to be again. Kind of like, I think there's merits to both. Building the anticipation and kind of like, putting a cherry on top of the cherry on top right away. I see the merits in both.
I just the only thing that bums me out about this is the fact that they're going to do a pair back-to-back versus a team that's not in their division. They did it earlier where they did Calgary twice. And it's like, okay, team in your division. Love it. They did it's hard to count the games in Prague, obviously. But they did, that pair against Calgary. That was a lot of fun. And then when I saw it, was like, oh, Colorado? Like, couldn't have been LA? Couldn't have been Vegas? Like, take Bettman. I know you say you listen to fans. You clearly don't. But man, how much fun would it be when at least the way the schedule is set up now, I look at it and it's like we played Anaheim 4 times, Calgary 4 times, Edmonton 4 times, then LA 3, Seattle 3, Vancouver 4, Vegas 3. So those teams, Anaheim, Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver, those are the teams you play 4 times. How do you not set up something that in the first 2 months, you do that whole thing where you go to Vancouver for a Tuesday and a Thursday, play there.
Right.
And then towards the back end of the schedule, March, you host Vancouver Tuesday, Thursday. Like, come on. And not only, here's my big thing about it. Not only is it good for travel, of course, it's a lower carbon footprint and all of that stuff, and makes the travel a little bit easier, especially for the teams that are in the Western Conference that have to travel more. Mm-hmm. How fun is it if you're a fan of one of those teams? What if you're a Canucks fan and you're like, hey, man, did you know that the Canucks are going to play in San Jose on Tuesday and Thursday this third week of February, that in San Jose during that time, the lowest temperature is like 38. It's a top of 60, but where we live, the high is 2. Mm-hmm. Might be a fun getaway. And we can go, both games. We'll get to San Jose on Tuesday morning and we'll leave Friday morning, and just a great 3 days in the Silicon Valley. Doesn't that sound like a hoot?
Yeah, it gives people the opportunity to plan like a whole, kind of like a weekend trip. Whether it's like,
dude,
and you could do it. You could do like family trip, girls trip, boys trip. You know what I mean? Like, the options are endless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they could figure out a way, like I said, they played Anaheim 4 times this year. So if they could have figured out a way where it's like, okay, so we're gonna play Anaheim. We're going to play in Anaheim Thursday and Saturday. Oh, dude, As soon as I saw that on the schedule, I'd be calling my boy Brett and be like, dude, here's the dates to block out on your calendar.
Right.
We're driving down on Wednesday. We're going to party with some friends that we have in LA on Wednesday. Then Thursday, We're going to fuck around and find out in Anaheim, go to the game. Then Friday, maybe we go up to, Venice, the Strip, whatever, Santa Monica Pier, and then back down to Anaheim on Saturday, watch the game. Boom. Sunday coming back. Dude, that is a hellaciously fun 5 days right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Figure it out, NHL. Anyway, what was the thing? Oh, yeah. They're playing games this week. So, Pair versus Colorado, and then the Oilers. It's going to be a tough one. Now, I look at that schedule and I say automatically 0-3, but I said that last week, and look what happened.
Right.
How you feeling about this week? You think they pull one of the Colorado games out of their ass after getting curb stomped 6-0 in the Mile High City?
Oh, man.
I know, dude. It's a tough road to hoe.
If it Colorado, Colorado's been pretty banged up this year with injuries. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these games they opt for some load management, and maybe they dress a skeleton lineup.
Sure.
So I could see. Don't ask me to pick which of these games they're going to win, but I think the Sharks will get one.
All right,
and it's going to be a squeaker. Like, it's not going to be anything remarkable either.
You think Bordeleau gets a goal in that one?
I think anything is possible.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. So that's the way we're going to wrap this one up. On Twitter, you can follow him at hockey_jerk. You can follow me at AJ_strong. Remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Leave your take in the comment section if you couldn't join us live. And look, you can check out the post-game cast. We got 6 more games left, people, so check out our post-game After Dark, following every game this week with a combination of Puck Guy, Ian, Landy, Dana, Mark, and our newest addition, Jewel.
Jesus.
Dude, Jules killing it. Jules has done two After Darks.
Yeah.
And I already want to fire 3 other people.
Oh, my God.
Jewel is killing it. Check her out on After Dark this week. I don't know which one she's going to get into on right now, but am I wrong? Is she killing it?
No, she's crushing it. Absolutely.
Dude, she's making the rest of us look like we really don't know anything, to be quite honest. and I'm not saying that we do. I'm just saying that that's how much Jewel is killing it. So you can find links to our social media podcast apps.
Ooh, Barracuda.
Well, Steven, you triggered the wrong fucking thing. You can find links to our social media podcast apps and more included in the show notes. You can see it right there on your screen if you're watching us live. Everything's on tealtownusa.com. If you want to be a member of the Discord party and get that VIP access, hit up Hockey Jerk on the Twitter machine at hockey_jerk. So, and like I said, I'm more than happy to have a conversation about the whole Pride Night thing on the Discord. Let's all just be respectful to each other. That's all I ask. So with that, Jerkman, you got anything fun coming up this week? I mean, baseball just started. Are you paying attention to anything of that? Or you
means my week is ruined.
Oh, why is that?
Because I fucking hate baseball.
So how does it ruin your week?
Because it's back, and I have to hear everybody talk about it.
Does your wife care about baseball or no?
Dude, it's a struggle to get her to watch a hockey game.
Oh, okay. Well, then what's the problem with baseball then? It's just all your other friends are just
not a fan of baseball.
All right, I feel it. Dude, I'm the same way about with basketball.
Well, this is how it started.
The lucky thing for me is that basketball happens when hockey is happening. So I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit about what you're saying about basketball because I'm focused on hockey. But during the summer, you're kind of hosed, right?
Right. Well, so that's the thing is like, I've never really been a fan of baseball just because it's not, it's just not my thing. But
that's fine.
But what really ruined it for me is
white people
is growing up growing up when when the Giants were ripping off all their World Series victories.
Yeah, it was a fun time. I loved it.
And if you're a fan, I'm sure it was fun. But
Yeah.
as somebody who does not care, it was very annoying. Where for like 5 years, that's all anybody wanted to talk about.
How dare that team win championships?
I know, right? I mean, it was the same. It was the same thing with the Warriors, though. You know what I mean? Like the Warriors have been on a rip for the last 7 or 8 years, right? And it feels like I know people who have not watched a single game of basketball, and they got the Warriors hat, the Warriors shirt, the whole deal.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. F you.
Whatever. My final thoughts are: let me go.
Well, let you go. But the other thing that I'm kind of wondering is, why did the chat turn into a discussion about avocados? I clearly missed something. I don't know. Hey,
You must have missed that meeting.
hey, you know what? I want to. Can I? I know it's the end of the show. Can I?
Okay.
Just between me and you. And I know there are other people
And
listening.
everybody listening.
I know there are other people listening. Can I give you one, at least something that I hope will brighten up what was, it was a good show. There was some lulls here and there, but can I give you one sentence that I hope that will brighten up the rest of your weekend before you go to bed?
Sure.
There's only 2 more of these to do.